Hello and welcome to Pactober. This is our final session. Hope you've been enjoying the month so far. If you haven't caught up with any of the sessions, you can check the Pact.io Pactober website where you can see a full listing and you can check out each of the videos on YouTube. I won't bore you too much with my own voice today. I'll just give you a quick intro from me. I'm Yusuf. I'm the community shepherd here at Pact, but I'm welcomed by my two absolute wonderful friends from Sngular. We've got Alejandro and Jose, and I'll hand over the floor to them for their fantastic session all about Pact, Java, and the wonderful open source work they've been doing to make your life easier. So over to you, Jose. Over to you,
Okay.
Alejandro. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll start. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us and letting us participate in Pactober. We're very glad to have the opportunity to be part of this event. I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Alejandro Pena. You can call me Alex, which is much easier. And I'm a software engineer, member of the QA team in Sngular. I've been working in the industry for about 15 years, with almost 5 of those here in the US. And I've been working with some of our clients for over 2 years as an expert in contract testing, helping them to adopt this methodology at an enterprise level. So once said that, I'm gonna share my screen. And okay, I will start with a small presentation to provide a bit of context. We're here to talk about the PactBuilderDSL. Okay, it's a Java open source library developed by our OS3 team in Sngular. The purpose of this library is to simplify our lives, as Joseph said. Simplify our lives when trying to write request body validations in contract testing with Pact. Okay, so when you first start working with the Pact Java DSL, and more specifically with the Pact DSL JSON body object, you quickly realize that it's super useful, right? This tool offers flexibility, allowing you to handle a wide range of scenarios according to your needs. As it is object-oriented, it makes it easy to reuse definitions, making it powerful and robust. You also have the freedom to customize your body definitions in a lot of ways, all while encapsulating them to minimize the chances of misconfigurations. And what's more, it's highly readable and concise. It brings the body definition in line with Java's syntax, making it much more user-friendly and easier to understand compared to writing plain JSON. I mean, the Pact Java DSL is a fantastic tool that many, including myself, appreciate a lot. However, if you have worked with it out of the demo or simple use cases, I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me that it's also common to end up creating bodybuilder classes with methods that looks like this. And that can be a problem. Actually, this is the point where we detected that some tool to simplify this definition would be extremely useful. Of course, it's not a secret or something that only we have discovered. This functionality has been demanded by the community on many occasions. Even our clients have detected this need, asking for some kind of code generator helper tool. And we have also experienced that these huge body definition classes have a negative impact, especially during the adoption phase. When working with organizations with many teams, those teams that are being onboarded on the methodology, well, they feel that this initial process requires a lot of code to be developed, and that this onboarding phase is highly time consuming, even though the maintenance after that is pretty straightforward. I mean, they have their own worries, their deadlines, their releases, and basically they find that this new testing is maybe intimidating due to the amount of code needed. This situation has caused more times that I would like to admit to having us chasing the teams and talking to them about the huge advantages that contract testing can provide, while they were basically trying to delay starting the process all the possible. So, as everyone would do initially, our first step was to search for already existing solutions. However, we found very few, which honestly was pretty surprising to me, considering the apparent necessity. Anyway, I think it's worth mentioning the Pact Consumer Builder from Remondis IT. The library is considerably outdated and likely no longer supported, with no updates for the past 4 years. However, it's fair to acknowledge that it serves as inspiration for our current project, as its original concept closely matches the situation we are trying to address here. So given this context, we decided to talk with our OS3 team, represented here by José, to start developing an open source library from scratch. I'd like to highlight some of the library's key features and design. So first of all, we decided to adopt a Lombok style, placing the focus on using annotations for configuration. We thought that it was the correct approach, as it allowed us to minimize the amount of code required to use the library. We've also decided to maintain the DSL spirit, we can say, allowing you to create both random or static values for each field, even though all of you may know that using random values for contract testing usually is not the best idea, as we would be sacrificing the contract pre-verification feature. And furthermore, our library offers support for defining minimum and maximum values, not only for numeric fields, but also for collection size. And regarding the future features to be included in either 1.1 or 2.0 release, we are working on the following. First, we are thinking in adding support for custom mappings. This feature will enable you to extend the library by incorporating your own code to fully define how a specific data type or object is handled. Additionally, we are working on integrating this functionality into our multi-API plugin, which is another open source project, a code generation tool. This tool operates based on a Sync API or Open API, allowing you to generate code related to an API definition for both roles, consumer or provider. In this case, the idea would be when generating the consumer model to include the possibility of generating the code while incorporating the annotations from the PactBuilderDSL. And last but not least, we are making improvements to support more specific situations. So you can imagine there are a lot of combinations that need to be addressed. So, for example, we are currently exploring the option to define a custom date format for dates or enable the maximum feature for the elements within a collection. With this in mind, I'd like to inform that our first major version 1.0 is available on Maven Central. Actually, it was released 1 hour ago, and you can already find the code hosted on GitHub. Keep in mind that it is an initial version, so it should be used with care. We would greatly appreciate any feedback or suggestions you may have. Our goal is to keep releasing more stable versions as soon as possible, and then continue to support and improve it based on the community feedback and also any need we can identify by ourselves. Of course, if anyone is interested, you're more than welcome to collaborate. And before jumping to the demo, just a bit of self-promotion. The library has been developed inside Sngular, based on the collaboration of 2 of our teams. OS3 is a team with a strong focus on open source library creation. We want to collaborate with the open source community, giving back a little bit for all the support we receive as software developers, and because of all the meaning the open source has as a concept itself. and the QA team, where I belong. We are specialized in quality-related work with strong emphasis on automation. It's a team where contract testing, Pact or Pactflow fits like a glove. And that's pretty much all. I apologize for stealing this first minutes in this talk. I really think this context is useful, but also I'm pretty sure that everyone is much more interested in what comes next, the demo time. So, Jose, mic is yours.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jose. I have been in this world about 20 years working in IT, different roles, and so now I am the, let's say, lead developer or director of the USQ initiative here in Sngular, focus on developing open source software and share our knowledge with the community and allow us to work with the people and make the life easy. So my part here is the demo. So if you let me share a bit my screen, can you please tell me you can see it properly?
Lovely, we can see it.
Okay. So the main idea behind that project is make the life easy. I was being developer for plenty of years. And when someone came and tell me, hey, you need to make a test. Okay, no problem. You need to fill 400 lines for a testing body. Say, no, I don't have time for that. So this is one of the main concerns that they told me about that. Alex told me about that. So we thought going to something more easy. And in the Java world, working as annotation is an easy solution. So the main idea was, okay, I already write my classes. So if I put an annotation, I want something that with my class and generate all the things that I need. So here you can see a small example about a typical person class, has a couple of properties, and have this annotation here. And also we can define max and min. So with this annotation, I will generate the builder that we can see around here. Okay, using the PactDSL JSON body to generate all the data that you need to create a proper body in order to introduce into your DSL request. We are only focusing create the body. The request will be created in future releases or integration with all our tools. So the main idea behind that was, okay, we will define a starting set of values with some random generated code, but we need to also allow the people to introduce their own values in order to create the proper object. So if you can see here, we have the definition of the class person with all the properties more or less formatted. Fortunately, this is auto-generated and the QA team doesn't look too much into it. But you can see that more or less is matching every property here. So how you can use that? Well, with collaborating with Alex, we decided to make two functions that compare the definition of the DSL based using the standard PactDSL. So you need to introduce all the fields and all the values, and using the builder. So you just catch up the builder. You need to replace those values that you want to configure for that specific use case. And then every time you make clean and install, the classes will be generated. Couple of seconds, please. So here we are again the values. And if you want to see what is generated, just run this function that you can see here, the body. Okay, I put it previous running here, more or less ordenated. So slightly different here is that this body will contain all the fields that you have defined in your class, but the ones here came from the part defined with the DSL. So we added a couple of properties more in the person class, or in the address, I think there was. No, here, sorry, in the city. Those fields here that have been added during our testing are not included in the original body from Alex. But as you can see here, they will be also generated as well. So if the class changes, you don't need to add these properties manually to your DSL body, because they are added automatically with random values. If you want to configure a specific value, then you need to go to the builder, and then you can replace here for maybe Boston. If you run again these tools, you will hear that Boston should be somewhere in the body generated. You can see, oh, still erasing. It should appear around here, the Boston city. Sorry, this is like live and failure. But the main idea is that you can configure here and generate the values, and then the values will be, I know, something that they was missing. I think around here, yes. You can define specific values in the body. So using this at example annotation, you can put here a specific value that will be always be introduced as default value in our builder. So if I remove this one, you will get a random value, like you can see here in the name. But because here I have example José, here down you can see my name appears. So you have three options in order to define values for running your test, or just leave it empty, so you will get a random scratch waste values. You can define an example, and you can put an example annotation with the predefined values. You can see there you have a string and a data time, or you can use the builder in order to override, once I fix the issue, to override all the values, and this value will appear here in the body generated. Okay, as simple as that. There is no more magic behind.
Yeah, so just to summarize a little bit, can you show the city or address or person, one object of the model?
So we have the city here.
Okay, yeah. So basically, for using the library, the most common situation would be just to use those annotations. I mean, that PactDSL bodybuilder library, annotation is the one that will trigger all the process to generate the sources. Okay. If you don't use any other annotation, all the fields will be random, which could be useful for some situations, but usually is not a good approach. And that's why we added the example annotation as well, the one that was Jose showing before. With example annotation, what we do is for each field, define a static value. For example, you can say it, the example for the city name being Orense or Boston or any other city. Same for any kind of other date. And finally, the max annotations that defines, as their name says, a max and minimum value, of course.
You can see here those values appear in the min-max array like. Also, you have random value or added here from the top.
And with those 4 annotations, I mean, honestly, at least in my experience, we're covering the 90% 5% of the situations when defining a body, because usually you don't need to define some very specific behaviors for the fields in your bodies. You just need, or at least in my experience, I find myself copying in the DSL definition the same definition for a string, string name example, string city example. And this is what is done by this generation tool. Okay, if we need a static value example, if not, we can go with the random. When having a big body is, at least in my opinion, a huge time saving, and also will make sure that your definition of the DSL is always up to date, because you just have to make the changes in your model and will be reflected on the definition. There are some things, like I said at the beginning in the presentation, that are yet to be improved. For example, the date formats. Right now, we only handle one format, but it's something José is working on. Or for example, using the max-min values to define the max-min value of the inner object of the list, meaning that, for example, that list of integers will have integers, all the integers between 1 and 12, for example. But as I was saying, it's something we're working on, something that will be improved. But this first release at least has these basic features that, as I was saying, I think it could be a huge time saving in many situations.
Another thing that I almost forgot is how you can use it. Just adding this dependency in your dependencies part in Maven. We need to check it in Gradle, but we are working mainly in Maven. So adding that dependency, you will get the annotations and the annotation processor, and it will be integrated in your building process. So there is nothing else here, just only the annotation, the consumer, the consumer dependency from Pact. And if you want to use the max and min, you need to use the Jakarta validation or the JavaX. It depends about your Java version. And there isn't anything else here you can see. It's pretty much straightforward.
Just a question on that, Jose. Is there a particular Pact JVM version that's targeted? So I know you've got a 4.62 here, and
Alex can answer that question because he was testing with some versions, I think.
With 4.3, it was failing. So after that, I started testing with 4.6. As the library is developed with 4.6, we would recommend using for that onwards. Anyway, what we would do is include a table of compatibilities in the README, but just as of now, our recommendation would be use from the version that has been used to develop the library or newer.
I've popped some links into the YouTube channel, so anyone who is watching can find the GitHub link or can find it in the Maven website. Thank you very much. This looks absolutely amazing. A really good point that you've mentioned around the random value generation and being able to fix those with examples. That's something that's really key if you're using the kind of full fat Pact with a Pact broker and doing provider verifications. You'll want to avoid random data in your Pact file. So using that kind of example feature is a really great way to do that. How much time do you think this is saving your teams then? So I think you mentioned there your teams were writing a lot of boilerplate before, and were you having points where the objects you were building up in your tests were diverging from your actual objects? So I know here, as you update your objects, kind of the thing your builder will take care of that in your test.
I mean, being honest, the time savings could be huge, especially when someone is starting their journey in contract testing. Okay, a developer that has already some experience with Pact, the body definition could be, I mean, how to say this, repetitive because of the copy paste, but not so complex. The main advantage I see is for the adoption. I mean, I have lived this a lot of times, coming to a new team to explain that they have to onboard on contract testing in a company, and then the first thing they ask is there any other team using this technology? Yeah, of course, we have this team that is using on production. Now, let me check the code. They check the code. They see the pack definitions, they see the tests, everything is cool until they see the typical bodybuilder, and they found that for one endpoint, as they have huge bodies, there are, I don't know, 900 lines defining the body. You know? And at that point is where the team lead or whoever we're talking with does a click, you know, and it starts to say, okay, we have to plan this, we have to, because in this context, people has their own, as I said before, their own deadlines, their own worries. They are rushing to have that release for whatever they're doing, and suddenly they see 900 lines defining, and they just don't care. Everything is repeated, very repeated. You know, they just see a lot of code and they say, okay, this is a lot of time to be invested.
Yeah, and it can stop people critically reviewing the tests as well, because there's just too much to look at any one time.
Absolutely. That's right. Regarding the time saving, well, of course, it's going to save time, because at the end, at least you will not have this feeling of being copying and pasting a lot, you know, to define the body, which is somehow frustrating sometimes. But yeah, I see the mainly advantages for the adoption and for showing the code to people to start using this and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent. That was a really great demo, Jose. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you to you for hosting us.
I'm curious if we've still got some time. You mentioned one of your other projects, so it's an API, something to do with
multi-API.
Multi-API. Yes. Any chance you could tell the audience a little bit about that? Because I know that Open API and Async API are things that definitely our Pact users are interested in or use them, especially with Async API now moving into event-driven architecture.
Well, we don't have slides for that, so I can explain more or less what it is doing.
Even just the brief tagline of it, and I'll pop a link in, and people can go in.
What we do with this tool is based on an API or Async API definition. We generate code in order to create or add it to a project. So our focus is going mostly to the API first paradigm. So the teams make one or several times, they define an API. Once the API is defined with our tools, you can generate consumer and producer for those APIs, REST or assigned, okay? So what we build is on the small piece interfaces and classes that you need in order to start developing and creating these your software or your services. And with this Pact Builder, the idea is, okay, I can generate the code for starting the development. So if I can add the Pact Builder, I can also generate the path for the consumer in the building time. So the time saving here will be increased a lot, because you don't need to do anything. You will have your classes, your controllers, or your service to attack to a specific API, and then also you will have your contract, your body for create your contract. So the time the thing will spend building boilerplate code will be not zero, but really, really small.
Yeah.
The main idea that we are doing in OSQ.
It's a really smart idea. I mean, I like both of these ideas because they're time saving. They can help you when you're onboarding new teams, and ultimately the value we're trying to drive from these is sharing these contracts and verifying them and getting that feedback. So the quicker we can get to there initially, especially when you try to prove out the value, is invaluable. And then being able to use tooling that can work kind of multi-protocol is fantastic. So we've shared some links to the GitHub repos. It sounds like the Sngular team are constantly busy in the open source. So I implore you guys to go and check out the other open source projects on their repository. If the team want to get in contact with you guys, how's best to contact you both? Is it via GitHub or Twitter, LinkedIn?
Sure, you can contact us straight away. Alex will be more focused in the US part of the business, and I'm more here in Europe.
Awesome.
So through GitHub, you can contact us directly. I don't know if we share our contact details yet through the Sngular. Oh, here, the Sngular the page.
And Sngular, global company. I know you guys have worked with many clients implementing Pact at scale. So if some of our readers are interested in hearing more about Sngular or what they've been up to in the Pact space, I know, Alex, I think you've been penning some blogs in the past. So is there anything you want to quickly say about that?
Yeah, well, this past months I was writing quite a lot about contract testing. We have a blog in our website explaining a little bit all the steps we follow for implementing contract testing at scale in big companies. Okay, so I think it's a really useful content, as it summarizes a little bit all the knowledge we have gathered through all these years doing that kind of work. Actually, I can share with you the link for that host, so we include it as well in the YouTube description. And of course, as you were saying, Joseph, if anyone is interested in knowing more about this tool, any other tool, contract testing or whatever, we can be contacted. An email. In my case, I'm on LinkedIn as well. I don't have Twitter account, but on LinkedIn I'm active. And of course, through the GitHub itself, we are supporting these tools. So it's another way to contact us. We can share the links to our profiles as well in the description, if you're okay with that. And that would be pretty much all, I think.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've really enjoyed your posts. If anyone hasn't checked them out, there's a really great series from Alejandro, and it really helps. So I know a lot of customers and people using Pact ask us for kind of stories of teams that have used it at scale or some of the challenges that they've faced. So I will also share some links to a previous YouTube chat we've had with the Sngular team, where they've gone through some of the thought processes and stuff they've done there. So thank you so much for your time sharing this library with us. I really hope some of our community go and try it out, star the repo. Hopefully it saves you loads of time. If you have any issues, feel free to give us a shout on the GitHub issue tracker, or just drop a chat into the Pact Slack, where Alejandro and Jose are hanging around in.
Of course. Thank you so much. And we are waiting for your feedback. So don't hesitate in checking the code.
So thank you very much, team. That wraps up our last session for Pactober. Thank you, Sngular, for being our last hosts. We look forward to maybe doing this next year. We definitely look forward to being here in 10 years to come. So the future is bright, the future is Pact. So thank you, everyone, for your time, and all the best for your rest of your day and weekend. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.